Hey everyone, welcome to the review video. What I'm going to do is fill in these little gaps in between the name of the lesson and the problems, just so that everybody has a little bit of a reminder of how this all works. Okay, so up here, I'm going to remind you that less thans are going to the left like this, and greater thans go to the right like this. Okay, and then if it has that little line underneath, like these two, that means that it can be or equal to. Okay, and then if you have one of the two that doesn't have the line underneath, these use open circles and parentheses. If you have two like this, or one like one of these two, that's where you close the circle and you're going to use a bracket around the number. Okay, which leads me to my next point that I'm going to put up here in the corner. Infinity on the right and negative infinity on the left, just to help you remember which one is which. Always parentheses. Sorry, that ended up being like a double parentheses. Okay, and then interval notation is going to go left side, comma, right side. And then you're going to put either parentheses or brackets. So this one's parentheses, this one's brackets. For instance, this -1 is a bracket, so that would have to be one of these two with the little line underneath. And it's going to be a closed circle on the graph. Whereas the 3 is a parentheses, so that's going to be an open circle on the graph, and it's going to be one of these two. Okay? Inequality notation means that you're going to have x, and then you need to say like less than or equal to a number. That's an inequality. It has x and a number, and it tells you whether it's less than or greater than in between. The graph, you can kind of see, you just graph it, and then I already talked about interval notation over here. Moving on to two-step inequalities. These work just like two-step equations did, but we're doing the opposite order of operations. So we're going to use opposite operations. And when you do that, make sure you use PEMDAS backwards, which is SADMAP. So undo addition and subtraction first, then undo multiplication and division, and then you would do parentheses the very, very last. Okay, so anything that's inside parentheses doesn't get to go out until the very end. Okay. The other thing that I'm going to say under 2.2 is that at least and at most have these two symbols. At least is greater than or equal to, and at most is less than or equal to. Okay, and then if it says less, then realize that means without the little line underneath, and more than means without the little line underneath, but going to the right. Okay, this is not always the way that the words are going to show up. So you do kind of have to understand whether a problem is going greater than, which is these, or less than, which is these. Okay. And then over here in the corner, I'm going to put a box around the golden rule, which is if you multiply or divide by a negative number, flip the symbol. Okay, and I'm saying if you are choosing to multiply or divide by a negative on both sides. So like if you need to divide both sides by -2, flip the symbol. When we are dividing, we only care about the number that goes on the bottom if it's negative. Okay, moving on to 2.3. I kind of already filled this one in for you. No solution means that it's not true. Like 3 is less than -9. 3 is not less than -9. But infinite solutions are true. Like 3 is less than +9. 3 is less than 9, so this one's true, so you would write infinite solutions. Okay? These two things only happen if you have, or if you get 0x. So if both your x's cancel out, then either you're going to have this or this, because notice how there's no x's left on there. Alright, next. 2.4, compound inequalities. The biggest thing is to remember that ands are going to stay in between and ors are going to go opposite directions. Okay, and I'm just going to say this is 3 and 5 on both of them. Okay, because this one, since they go together, would just be 3, 5 for the interval notation. The 3 gets a bracket because it's closed, the 5 doesn't because it's open. Whereas over here, 3 needs its own interval from -infinity because it's going to the left to 3. And if it goes to the left, your infinity is on the left. And over here, the 5 goes off to +infinity on the right. Since it's going to the right, my infinity is on the right. You only use a negative on an infinity if it goes to the left forever. And then we put this little u in between when we have to do more than one together. Okay? And then I'm going to give you a reminder right here before I move on that you're going to act like this is 3 parts. So like when we want to add this 5 to get rid of it, we want m to be by itself in the middle. So we would add that 5 to both sides like that. Okay? No matter what, ands should go together or should almost like repel from each other. These hate each other. These like each other, so it's together like a sandwich. That word and is in the middle of sandwich, if that helps you remember that. Okay, and that's about it that you need that's new for compound inequalities. Okay, there is a word problem. When it says write a compound inequality,